What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me for the live reading show. This is basically where, instead of sitting on a corner at some street fair or somewhere with a chalkboard saying I'm offering readings, well, I sit here on YouTube and do it. So, looking forward to connecting with you all. I got the chat open over here so I can see who's talking, pull up charts, all that good stuff. Definitely, yeah. Anybody who was around yesterday, you knew I wasn't feeling too good. I feel way better today. I slept for like 10 and a half, 11 hours and like kind of gross, but I got some good like sweating out in my sleep and feeling much better. So, yeah, waiting for some people to hop in here. What up, fam? I got some tea today. Some sweet and spicy tea. The tea that I made the tea bags, they have nice little quotes on them. The two ones that I grabbed today were so fitting. I'll read my favorite one last. But the first one is, "'Tis better to be silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt." Apparently that was Abraham Lincoln. And then this one's good too. I like that one a lot because that's so North Node Gemini, South Node Sag. Like, to just have like the ultimate certainty of knowing. And then my favorite one of these two was, in order to be irreplaceable, one must always be different. We're coming up on an Aquarius full moon, the second one. Uranus goes retrograde today. Sun's in Leo, like opposing Jupiter. It's okay to be different and unique. That's like where the greatest gift is right now. That's what makes you irreplaceable, is to just be yourself and to be authentic and shine. You don't have to do what everybody else does. That's the narrative in the world. Do what everybody else is doing. Hello, Yiddy. Message retracted. I wonder what you said. I have an idea. Glad you're wide awake. Yeah, I feel good. I feel better. You can make it. I put the donation links in the about section on this video. There's PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, and then you can also super chat or buy stickers. That's like a thing. I've never had a super chat donation or a sticker before, so like anybody that throws one of those up there, I'll remember you forever as the very first one to contribute to this channel in that way. I also put, what up, bro? Azrael Vicious Tarot. Dope tarot channel. I definitely recommend checking his stuff out. Instagram too. He's from SAC too, so me and you need to hook up sometime and meet up. We're close. I should be working, but I'll take a shot. Yeah. You booked a reading with me yesterday for December, Ariane. Do you pronounce it Ariane? I actually, the way you spell your name is exactly what my ex-wife's name is. She goes by Ari, of course, but she always has people pronounce it wrong because she goes, it's Ariane. Everybody's like, Ariane, Ariane. So hopefully I'm pronouncing it right when I say Ariane. How much? It's just donation. It's just donation. It's like 10, 15 minutes. I'm pretty much just, I experimented with this yesterday and I decided to make it more simplistic because there's so much we can go into. So I think I'm more or less going to talk about transits and what could be going on right now or what you've been going through and what's coming, and go that route. Pull up some progressed moon to, instead of just like hitting like with your chart and like kind of, there's some sensitive stuff in there, but more so just like what's up. So I'm going to try that route this time. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate you, and I'm happy to put my content out here. I I love putting my content out here for you guys. And, hopefully the chat's quicker. I turned the latency all the way down. So it's like super low, I think is what it's called, or so there shouldn't be as big of a gap as there was. Oh. Well, thank you so much. And now I know your name's Marcus, so that helps too. Hopefully you don't mind if I say that. But it's more personal that way anyways. Um, yeah, do you want I see the donation and support, but do you want me to pull up your chart? Is the real question. Or was that just to be a super cool homie? Either way, thank you so much for that donation. You can drop it here or maybe through Instagram DM if you don't want to put it here. It's up to you. I mean, I usually pull the chart up on the screen, so you kind of have to be like open to people seeing your chart. It's kind of a vulnerable place. I know some people don't want to put their info out there, so I mean, I totally understand that if people want to keep that stuff private. I don't have to put it on the screen either. So, oh, word. All right, sweet. I'll pull that up. Hayward is Alameda County, right? Not Mariposa. Yeah, that would make sense. It's definitely Alameda. Expose the chart. Oh, what up, Josh? This is my first ever live chat donation. I'm gonna remember that forever. I appreciate you. What's up with today's transits? I do have a daily horoscope out for that, but we can talk about that. I'm gonna pull up Marcus's chart, and then if anybody wants, you know, I could look at the chart of right now with you guys, and then go into something else. Yes, Alameda. Okay. Look, right? I do want to hide my doc. There we go. Wrong account. Hi, Lori. All right, Marcus. Does this look right to you? I got a 5-degree, 14-minute Capricorn Rising. Stacked first house. What? You're in Sonoma? You got off the island? Damn. If you come up north a little bit, we should meet up. Looks right. All right, that's important. All right, Marcus. Well, I mean, right off the bat, like it's important, I guess, to say, for a Capricorn rising, even though it's 5 degrees and Pluto crossed that back in 2012, times, like that's a huge transformation in itself. Not everybody's going to have Pluto cross their rising. So, maybe that transformed your identity into something. You also have that 27-degree Capricorn sun. So you got Pluto just right there. You're in this 2-year transit of Pluto over your sun. You have Pluto come over all your stuff in the past 13 years. That's wild. Like, that's a huge transformation, especially with all your first house and your identity. And the sun also rules your 8th house. I mean, it doesn't get more transformative and like a deep dive into, a lot of power aspects within yourself. But I mean, it could feel like a death and rebirth all the time. I remember when Pluto crossed my sun. I'm a 10-degree Capricorn sun, and I had a near-death experience. Definitely not saying that's going to happen to you, but it was, I have my sun Neptune. So, I mean, it was like a crazy, like, reawakening and like a spiritual awakening. So, you're in this place right now of like a huge transformation, and you're going to have that exact hit next year. And then it's going to be sitting there. So you're in the middle of this big, like 2.5-year transit with Pluto. And your Saturn return, of course, coming back and stationing right on your Saturn. And Saturn rules your identity. So it's very, embrace whatever the transformation and change is. I bet you do a good job of that already, because I know that you're spiritually connected. You practice divinity. It's your full-time job. So like, having that background of you, I know that like you're going to handle whatever shows up well, because it's all about that. And I would say the hardest part about the last few years for you was having that south node, cross over all of your Capricorn and your ascendant and go through your 12th house, because that could feel like everything's turned around, or like things just weren't clicking as they were meant to. And as it separates now, and you got that north node transiting your 5th house, like this is like finding your true identity, like your heart's passion. So it's a very, this is a prominent stage in your life. It doesn't even get much more, like, in terms of transformation of identity and soul expression and doing what makes you happy. This is just top tier moments in your life. So you want to embrace change. Like, if things have to change, this is absolutely, a powerful time for that. You're seeing Mars, and you have Uranus trine your Jupiter in your 8th house. So Uranus hasn't gone retrograde yet, and it is going to retrograde back and hit that exact trine to your Jupiter again, with Mercury and Mars on your Jupiter, and Jupiter rules your 12th house. Woo! So not only is it just an identification transformation that's going on right now, these are deep spiritual changes too. Really like a big merge with the highest power, the highest of highs. Beliefs could be changing. Beliefs about yourself and how you want to identify. Changing up the practical side because of the bigger vision. Definitely like out of the norm stuff. Of course, Uranus is, you're in your Uranus trine right now too. That usually comes with a Saturn return for people. It's pretty common to get your Uranus trine with your exact Saturn return. So that's like this, like, we get to this point at our Saturn return where it's like we have to make a big choice. It's like we take the conventional route, or we take the soul's purpose route. That's what happened for me big time too. So it was like I was going about things very practical, very, what was expected of me. And then that Uranus trine mixed with my Saturn return was just like a whole change of course. So you have Jupiter in your 2nd house too, and it's locked in there. It's not going to head back into your 1st. So, this is a great time for manifestation. When Jupiter comes to your 2nd house, like this transformation that you're going through is what's going to bring you, either it's going to put everything in play for the manifestations that are going to last you and like give you the fuel for the next year, or for the next 12 years. Like Jupiter in the 2nd is where you pretty much get the resources ready for the next 12 years. So you don't want to like blow through it, but you want to like get all those things in order, all those things that are going to, be different, especially with Jupiter in Aquarius in your second house. Like it's, in a Capricorn rising, Capricorn risings do best with their values when they're eccentric and different and they're creating something that's unique. And you do a great job of that. I love your stuff. And then all the readings you put out on IG, it's good stuff. That North Node, yeah, it's going to come into your 6th house. I'm sorry, it left your 6th house. It's going to be in your 5th house for a while. So that's good. It's definitely like focus on the things that make you happy right now. That's part of the transformation. And Saturn's getting ready to finish up in your 1st house and, kind of pull off of your Saturn next year and move into your 2nd house. So like, especially before Saturn gets into your 2nd house right now, embrace like the things that you can bring, because Saturn in the 2nd house is like, it's not the worst, but at the same time, it makes things like harder. It makes it like you really have to put in the work for the things you want to manifest. And like, it can make you look at yourself like, am I really good enough? So, Saturn in the 2nd house can bring like self-doubt and, keep that confidence high. If you push your confidence and push yourself to put your, to be out there, that Jupiter is going to give you the resources for the next 12 years. So that's dope. It's always nice to have Jupiter in the 2nd house. And yeah, Mars is making great aspects. This is big stuff with Mars on your Jupiter. I mean, those big spiritual ideals or those ways that you're connecting to all things, and then the way it's making great aspects to your Uranus, and your Uranus is trine. So you have this big grand trine between your Uranus and your Jupiter. Like, this is the most crazy and eccentric time. This is like a crazy portal. Is this like year into next year for you that's gonna like make the most like practical things and earth-based things happen that you like want to see come to fruition. So definitely, want to keep the confidence high and keep progressing forward and not like get, like stalled if you have to change things, because it's such a transformative time, whether it's identification or, the things that they're just not doing things that don't make you happy anymore. It's like, you got to find what makes you happy with Pluto on your sun and your sun ruling your 8th house. Like anything that doesn't make you happy is just going to tear you down and make you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm literally in the underworld. Let's see where your progressed moon is. Progressed moon in Leo. You can't make this stuff up. Progressed moon's going to come into your 8th house. Yeah, it's a month away from your 8th house, so it has been dealing with like this final wrap up of relationship stuff or dealing with people. And it still deals with people, in the 8th house, but it's also like really merging with the right people. Like, you've done the full spectrum here. Now it's like, okay, I'm transforming. Who's transforming with me? Who's, who do I want to share power with? Who do I not? And it's Leo too, so it's like, finding your shine, your power, and expressing yourself fully. Progressed moon in Leo's dope. This is such a creative time. That creativity is the transformation. And that's what's going to bring the resources. That's what's going to bring all these good things your way. Spot on. Word. So, that's kind of how I'm gonna go about these live readings. It's like 10-minute little blocks of just checking out what I think is important in the transits, and hopefully people enjoy that. And then if you want to book like a full session, reach out to me again, and I'll probably give like a little discount code for a full session since you supported the live reading and stuff like that. But yeah, much love, Marcus. Thank you so much. And then who was next? Did Josh hit me with the super chat before? I think Josh is next. Or was it Ariane? That's a good question. Josh did beat you? Okay. I don't want to skip anybody in line, but it's hard for me to pay attention to everything. Money to blow. That's a good song. That's Jupiter in the second. But you don't want to waste, you don't want to blow it all. Like if you're getting the goods and you're seeing things, like Jupiter's retrograde right now, but when Jupiter comes direct in Aquarius in your second house, and then spend some good time there coming into Pisces, yeah. Don't blow it all. You know, get the resources and keep it coming for the rest of the time. All right. I'll find Josh's info. November 21st, 1994, Nova Scotia. Do you have a time, Josh? $8:29. Nova Scotia. Is that that's Canada, right? Canada. What'd you say besides Halifax? Halifax, Nova Scotia. 8:29 a.m. Does that look correct to you? You're very welcome. Thank you so much for supporting. Sweet. Looks good. 12th houser. Wow, Sun conjunct Pluto. You are an intense individual. Transformative life all the time. You're having that Pluto, you know, about to sextile your Pluto sextile, Pluto sextile your Sun. So those are usually like easier transformative times in your life. Usually. It's not always fun when Pluto gets in there, but it's usually helps you graduate something in life. Helps you take the next level up. Your Uranus and your Neptune are in an interesting place. I know I've seen a lot of charts from like 94 and they have the conjunction. But that's right, you know, the midpoint of that 22 degrees is where not Jupiter, but Saturn, Pluto, the Sun, and Mercury met January 12th of 2020. You know, so Uranus is the third house ruler in this chart. Neptune it's intercepted. It would be the fourth house ruler in whole sign. But it's dealing with a big like shift of perspective in your mind. That was probably a big either awakening of sorts or really shifting perspective on what your environment should look like, the people you keep in your life. That could have been a big like, whoa. So last year could have been pretty extreme when it comes to that. You did have Jupiter finish up here. It's going to move back into your second house. So there's definitely like more abundance that's going to come. Saturn's in your second though too, so it's going to take work. It's going to take like cracking down and knowing your worth 100%. So Jupiter, when it's alone in your second house, can, definitely bring a lot more when it comes to value and physical things. Saturn's like, you have to know you're the shit. You have to put the work in and not look at yourself funny and not, repress yourself. If you got to put yourself out there, put yourself out there, to bring in what you're looking for. And then Jupiter almost touched your Saturn, which rules your second house. So that's positive too. With Jupiter getting ready next year to come in and cross your Saturn, because that's going to deal with Jupiter is an amplifier. So when you get Jupiter on your second house ruler with Saturn transiting also your second house, like there's something you want to crack down on right now to bring in the abundance. And by like having integrity of self and like, being responsible for what you do want and having the ambition. So I think a lot of it's ambition related. Like the good stuff is going to come in the more ambitious you are for those things. So you want to like push to get the big things that you want to see in your life show up, especially physical stuff, money, values, self-confidence. It is the relationship to self house. So it's like the more you know your value and your worth, the more that vibration is going to attract more to you. And of course, Jupiter squaring your sun, and your sun rules your ninth house. So, that's not a terrible transit, but it's like, you got to explore some things here. You got to like, maybe go on a vision quest or something. Like, it's something different. The ninth house is cadent. It wants change. It wants change for something bigger though. So I think you can feel that there's something big on the horizon, and you're going to want to explore that. You're going to want to do that. And it's probably something that deals with what you really want to identify with, being the sun. The sun's your soul identification, your light. The more you do your sun, the more you're putting light out there. So, of course, you're a Scorpio with Pluto. Like, you are intense. Be intense. Penetrate into life. Penetrate into the existence of this reality. Get to the deepest layers of everything, especially with everything in the 12th house. Like, you're on like a spiritual mission. I'm trying to like merge, and I think it's not so much even merge with physical stuff, like it's merge with the universe. But with your Pluto having that polarity in the 6th house, you have to like still be earth based. You have to do earth. So you might be finding that it's time to do that service work and put yourself out there and expand reality for what is bigger. North Node's transiting your 6th house right now. You're going to have that South Node transit over all your planets in Scorpio soon, next year. So it's not easy having the South Node transit your Sun, your Pluto, your Jupiter, all that stuff. Because if you can feel, like I said in the last one, you can feel flipped around. But it's also having you look at the opposite side, that 6th house energy of like making changes in your physical world, doing service stuff, helping out, purifying reality, expanding upon the wisdom you've already found, and going in and finding more wisdom, so that you have this like big open picture of what you can make happen for yourself. And then you're coming up on your nodal opposition too, your nodal flip. You got North Node Scorpio. You have Uranus on your South Node. This is an important time. This is where you're like, things are flipping. It's like karmic in a sense that this was like a point where like probably there's just these big changes that you're realizing you kind of have to help other people, I think. Especially having your North Node in the 11th house in Scorpio, like that's like a good psychologist position, like helping people, because the North Node in the 11th is like win-win situations in life, and like helping and looking at things objectively, not making everything about yourself, like you have a bigger mission. So this is like finding your authority, finding your confidence, but being able to give it and to share with others. And of course, Mercury and Mercury's making good aspect to your nodes. Mars is going to make good aspects to your nodes. Mars is going to come into your 10th house here. Venus just came into your 10th house. Yeah, there's going to be things to dedicate to coming up quick. Where is your progressed moon at? We'll look at that next. Progressed moon, 7th house, Gemini. And it's 3 months from coming into Cancer. So it's kind of been a little maybe helter-skelter right now, a little all over the place, especially maybe dealing with relationships. But it's a time to relate to people. So it's a time, to do relationships, to find what other people are up to. That's what you're going to get a good reflection of the things that you want by connecting with others. And the progressed moon really likes Cancer. It does. So, and it's going to start to make really good aspects to all your Scorpio planets over the next 2.5 years, leading up to your Saturn return, leading up to a lot of I think finding the solidarity that you're looking for. Yeah. It's going to make good aspects to your Venus. Venus rules your 10th. It would rule your 11th in whole sign. So yeah, I think you're really getting kind of an ignition of the North Node and of really connecting to all people. But you were born with a Venus retrograde, so a lot of life has been really working on relationship to self. That's how it works with Venus retrogrades. Usually it has to be more like the Venusian aspect, like really finding your worth. Then you can really connect, and it did progress direct already for you. So with a progressed moon and having Venus progress direct and then progressed moon in your 7th, definitely time to connect and do relationship stuff. That's where you're going to find balance within your own life. That's where you're going to find how to justify things, is through the reflection you get from other people. Yeah, I attract Venus retrogrades, apparently. Yeah. Yeah, I think you get a lot of planets, anybody, in your 10th, 11th, 12th houses. Life doesn't really feel like your own. You kind of feel puppeted by the universe, like there's some sort of mission to society or to reach goals and ambitions, or a spiritual mission. And that's why the 12th house is hard, because it's so open, and it can be like a slippery place where you want to merge with the universe, but you haven't gotten to that place in consciousness yet. So we try and escape drugs, or just it can feel like you're locked away at times. But once you embrace the universe and God with the 12th house Sun and 12th house Pluto, everything starts to open up. It's like the greatest surrender to whatever the spiritual mission may be. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate you. Oh, glad you enjoyed it. All right. So it was Ariane next, yeah? I have Ariane's stuff. I do have your information somewhere. I'll have to pull it up real quick. Yeah, big time emotional intensity. I just saw that before I changed the screen. Email. December 21st, solstice. Sadbury's not coming up. Oh, Sud. Ha. There we go. All right. Does that look correct? It's on Signal. Yeah, I got it, I think. Yes. Okay, good. Cancer Rising. Pretty wild having Pluto oppose your rising sign and on your descendant. That's a big one. Dealing with identity, dealing with other people and relationships, and then having Pluto's going to be in your seventh house for a while. So there's definitely transformations or deep mergers. Relationships are going to have a pretty, big reflection over the next 10 years about. And having Saturn there. So Saturn and Jupiter met in your seventh house too on the solstice. So yeah, it's just a lot of relating. And of course, you're a Venus. You're a Venus in the seventh house too. So I think it's going to help you really find the dedicated people in your life that you're looking for, and not play games with the people who aren't, don't want to go long term, don't want to, show up for you and give you the love you're looking for. Especially having Pluto get ready to cross over your Venus. It's going to happen in 2023. So that's going to rewrite, you might have just seen a taste like you're about to see over the next, 6 years here, like a whole new reboot of relationship energy. Especially with Venus ruling your 11th house. This is absolutely like the ultimate connection and learning to disconnect. You have Venus, Libra's intercepted in your chart, but it would be your fourth house ruler. So it could be dealing with emotion too, like emotional attachment when it comes to certain people. But I think it's about finding the ultimate attachment, especially with the North Node now transiting your 11th house. Like there's a lot about connecting to society, creating win-wins in life, looking at things objectively, kind of like peeling back a little bit and getting an observation perspective. Friends and groups, it's a lot about people right now. Definitely. And Jupiter in the 8th house is bringing like a deep psychological look into all of that. So Jupiter's like blowing up transformation in your 8th house. It's like blowing up, like, whoa, there's a lot of stuff down here in the underworld that I have to deal with, and Saturn's getting ready next year to come into your 8th house too. So it's a transformative time. Could show you some deep stuff, but it's, there's gifts in the deep stuff. Sometimes you just have to shine that light in there to relate with people. You had North Node cross your Chiron too in your 12th house. So that's a deep spiritual healing moment. And having the North Node in your 12th, and you're having Black Moon Lilith kind of flirt with your Chiron too. So there could be fears a little bit around the surrender that might need to take place for this deep transformation and dealing with people and who you're relating to, and also home life, or just your own deep rooted foundation of self right now. Mm. You have your moon in Capricorn too, on your descendant in your sixth. You had some big transits go over that moon. So you've definitely been dealing with some big identity stuff with your moon being the chart ruler. And of course, as a Cancer rising, any full moon or new moon is a big deal. So this last full moon you had was in your seventh house. This next one's going to be in your eighth. So this full moon this Sunday is a big deal too, because it's going to be with Jupiter. Like, this is the deep dive into kind of where the future is going, and these big, like, expansive things that have to have that light shined on them. So you don't want to obsess too much in the eighth house. You have to be willing to let go of things. That's where the transformation takes place. The hard part about the eighth house is if you hold on too tightly, the universe tends to just rip things away. And that's where it feels like crisis comes into life. So when you get that like hint or that feeling that a change or a transformation needs to be dealt with, like, you want to listen to that. You know, you have your North Node in Pisces. Like, you're learning to trust in the universe and not be so reality based and just feeling trapped in reality. And Uranus is getting ready to trine your moon. Yeah, this is a big changes for you, especially with your chart ruler being the moon, dealing with your identity. Like, really finding individuality, because that's a positive one, having Uranus there. It's still like, Uranus is weird. It's going to do weird things. It's going to accelerate you. And you have Uranus going through your 11th house. So I think you're finding your unique, like, genius right now. Your unique genius identification. Who you want to relate to, who sees you for who you are and who doesn't. You're seeing, your Mars and your Pluto are about to get squared by... Pluto's already gotten squared by Saturn. That was your 5th house. And Jupiter's already squared those two. And Jupiter's not going to square your Mars again. But, you're dealing with a lot of 5th house stuff too right now. Of, like, a deep dive into what the heart really desires, so that you can connect it with the right people. Progressed Sun too. That's in the 7th house in Aquarius now. So you've progressed into an Aquarius. So yeah, a lot of Uranian stuff for you right now, and a lot of it's dealing with, like, relating to other people. Oh, you're gonna have Jupiter come back and station direct on your progressed Mercury. Woo! That's pretty awesome. I think you're gonna see some pretty wild insights that are gonna open things up for you, and kind of make, that's big changes. That's like a big understanding of something completely different or out of the ordinary, extremely channeled, higher perspective. That's dope. Like, really, getting in touch with your intuition too. And, like, being able to, like, logically and, like, kind of, like, linearly understand it. Where's that progressed moon? It's in your 10th house in Aries. Gotta love an Aries moon progression. That is a fiery time of identification. So, and coming up with your progressed Jupiter there. It's going to be on your Jupiter. So yeah, you got Jupiter in the 10th at 19, and your progressed moon's going to meet with your Jupiter. It's a time to take individual responsibility for all the things that you want to create in life. Yeah, that's big. It's a time to do big things. If you have big ideals, or you want to accomplish big things, like, it's time to take on the responsibility and own up for what that is and put yourself out there. You had the moon cross over your North Node in Pisces. That was a pretty big one. Yeah. There's a surrender, but there's also an identification here. So it's like, yeah, you have your North Node in Pisces in the 10th, but you also have it in the 10th house. So you have to dedicate to something, that's merging, something that wants to, embrace the unknown. And you have to learn to identify with that. And I think that that's probably one of the biggest things, is having that Aries intercepted in your chart in the 10th house, is like really learning to identify with the things that you want to accomplish, and know that they can have a bigger, they're meant to have a bigger purpose than just self, but you still want to identify with those things. This moon progression on Jupiter is really going to help. So I think it can really open things up for you. And it's going to square it just came off a square to your moon too. So yeah, a lot of it's like dealing with asserting yourself right now, of like who you truly are, and using that to find win-wins and how to connect, but not like letting go of just like everything, like dedicating to your true like purpose. All right. Hope you enjoyed that. Awesome. I appreciate you. Who's next? I don't have like a list going. I gotta pull up like notifications. Was it Sarah that was next? Lisa? Might have been Lisa. I think it was Lisa and then Sarah. All right. If it is Lisa first, then I do need your information, which could be in this chat somewhere. But like, then I have to scroll all the way up, which probably wouldn't be too hard, but if you want to drop that information, Lisa, I will, I'll plug it in. I saw that, Michael. I saw that. I think you donated after Lisa and Sarah. Yeah. All right, Lisa. Thank you. Thank you. I put the year 1096. That wouldn't be good. St. Louis, Missouri. 1410 is 210. All right. Does that look right? Does that look right, Lisa? Wonder what the connection looks like. What do I use here? It says the connection's good. I feel like I'm getting some pretty heavy lag. Yeah, it's pretty lagged out. Crazy. I put like the best like latency for interaction. All right, good. All right, so Saturn cross your sun. Saturn's going to station on it here in September. You've had Saturn get right up to your Mars, station on that too. So a lot of this right now is finding like the authority in your defining energies. Like Mars and the sun are your defining energies. So I think you're restabilizing how you identify. And especially with the sun dealing with your third, it's kind of like how you identify mentally with yourself, how you express yourself. And then Mars ruling your 11th house, it deals with people too. And of course, you have an Aquarius Mars. So a lot of it is dealing with how you identify to yourself and others. And like, there's certain things that need to be like in place, in order. So Saturn's in your 8th house too, and it's, it just came into your 9th house. You have Jupiter in your 9th house. You got Pluto there. Pluto's going to head towards your sun. It's gone over your Mercury. Wow, you had your Mercury retrograde, get pretty hammered by Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter recently, and that's your ruling planet with a Gemini rising. So yeah, over the last year, it's been a huge identification and then a lot of transformation, and you are an 8th house sun, so your life is all about transformation and getting deep into life and the penetrating factors, relating, merging. So this is part of that transformative energy for you, dealing with your mind as well as how you express and connect with others. So I think it's like with Saturn finishing up here, the last time you're going to see Saturn in your 8th house for 5 years or something, 26 years. It's like this final stamp on who do you want to really merge with and let in, and who do you want to be vulnerable with, and learning to trust people, but not learning to just trust anybody. Like there's got to be a deep sense of connection there. And you're having Pluto start to square your moon in Aries over the next few years too. Moon being your 2nd house ruler, dealing with your own emotional self-confidence and your capacity to create and bring things in. And you have Moon in the 11th house, so you definitely like friends and groups and want to connect. South node's there in Aries, North node 5th house with Chiron in Libra. Definitely want to connect with people, but I would say interesting that you have Mercury square the nodes. Mercury's a big thing. Kind of got off topic, but I just, that kind of just showed itself to me. So Mercury retrograde wants to figure a lot out for itself. It's not linear, especially in Capricorn. It's very deep. It's deep internal thinking and like wanting things to look pretty like put together. But It's also the ruler of your chart. So there's this big, learning to identify with others, wanting to really connect with others, but still being like really determined and fiery in your own right with an Aries moon. So a lot of it's like this balance of self-expression. I think learning to like, because Mercury really is like middle of the line. Like it's neutral. It's the number 5 in astrological numerology. So it's like finding the middle point between everything and looking at both sides of things. So it's in hermetics too. So instead of like, maybe judging yourself or others by trying to go too deep into things, I think a lot of it is learning to relate and to objectify before you get too subjective. And Mercury in the 7th house too. So a lot of the, thinking could be about other people or trying to figure out what other people are thinking. So you want to connect with other people, but at the same time, North Node in the 5th house, like, does it have a deep, rooted, heart place, or is it fun? You don't have to connect to everything. And your moon in the 11th in Aries, it's not going to want to connect to anything that isn't like of what you want to identify with. You have Neptune on your Saturn. That's a that's not easy because Saturn's so like to the point, and that's dealing with your 8th house too. So it can just be a little like delusional about a lot of responsible situations right now. And you don't want to like, you want to push things right now, especially for like deep merging stuff or the transformative stuff or, the ultimate connection stuff. And you have Saturn in the 10th, so you're definitely here to, take on a lot and to push yourself, and it takes time. I think Saturn in the 10th is like great things happen, but you have to earn them and it takes time. But once you do that, they show up. So this could be a time of not feeling like the accomplishments are going to pay off, or you're not going to get the return on investment that all your 8th house and all that stuff in the 8th is looking for that return on investment of like, does this have the deep emotional meaning? Neptune's making that really hard, going to retrograde back over your Saturn and be there for the next, year. So it's this 2-year period of kind of feeling like maybe a little lost of like what the ultimate mission or what the ultimate goals are. And like maybe feeling powerlessness, like powerless. But you're not. That's the thing, is you want to push your Saturn right now. So the more you break out with a Saturn in Pisces and like take on spiritual responsibility or take on, deep interconnected stuff and see sort of the interconnectedness of all things, and it's unseen stuff, it's energy stuff, using that to your benefit, but not feeling lost or like you have to just escape. So you're definitely gonna want to push things. North node's in your 10 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 in your spirituality. Learning to kind of like let the transformation take place without holding on too tight, I think would be important. South node's in your 6, so it's like you can get caught up in reality right now and not want to like let go. What else do we got going on here? You did have your Jupiter return pretty recently. So you're kind of coming off that, which Jupiter does rule your 7th house. So you have, Jupiter in Capricorn, but it's the ruler of your 7th. And you came off a Jupiter return last year. So, yeah, that's dealing with a lot of relationship stuff too. So relating, dealing with others is important right now. Uranus is finishing up in your 11th house. It's going to be there for a couple more years, but it's going to help you see like where you want to connect in life and where you don't need to connect anymore. so that you're only focused on finding balance with love, finding balance for what lights your heart up. And that's part of, I would say, the transformation, and where you need to be responsible for is for the magic, for the dreams. And then you're about to have Jupiter come into your 10th house and meet with your Venus. Like, Jupiter coming into the 10th house is like, big things come. Like, you got big things coming. You just got to push them because that Neptune's there. So you don't want to think that like they're just going to show up for you. You want to push. So next year is a big push year for you. Like, make big things happen. And they will. And it's going to be with your Venus that rules your 12th house. So definitely, dealing with more unseen stuff, spiritual stuff, surrendering stuff, and also your 5th house, like surrendering to what really lights you up and dedicating to those things. And that's where you're going to start to see, like, all of a sudden the magic is just going to show up. Where's your progressed moon at? And then we'll finish it. Yeah, progressed moon is even in the 10th house right now. It's going to be there for the next, what is that, 11 months? Look at that. So yeah, like, finishing off this year, moving into next year is like definitely about those things you're dedicating to. It's like big choices, putting yourself out there. And then it's going to come into your 11th, and you got that Aries moon progression. So this is good. Like, you're going to have that Aries moon progression for the next 26 months. So, like, do the stuff that you want to identify with. Like, identify with whatever you really want to transform and make happen. And you do have Pluto natally in your 6th house. So, you're very sharp, very smart, but you really want to focus on a lot of 12th house stuff. And I think with the nodes there and a lot of aspects that's coming to your Venus, like, a lot of where you're at right now is like getting ready to surrender, because nothing's going to stay perfect forever. Maybe you're already feeling that now. But you can still dedicate to big things. You can still have, identify with the things you want to make happen. Venus just went into your 11th house in progressions. So yeah, identify with the people that bring you a good reflection of what you want. And that's where the win-wins are going to be at. And that's where you can find really solid connections with other people. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. There's such a good lag on there. All right. I think I'm probably only going to do a couple more. I'm running out of steam a little bit. But I might come back on later tonight. Who was next? Wow, that lag is deep. I guess I'll just hang out until it gets there. I think Sarah was next. I need to figure out a way to be better organized as I progress with this. It's Sarah and then Michael. And I think that's all the donations so far. I think. All right, Sarah. I appreciate you. Thank you. Does this look correct? This is how long the lag is that I just sit here and wait in between. So that's why it's like slow. In the meantime, I got a cool fountain. Put some crystals on it, keep some flow going. Also, when I do these readings, I get all sweaty. Part of it's that light. It's an LED light, but it's like, it heats up. Anyways. Does this chart look right to you, Sarah? Yes? Okay, good. I see it. Let's do it. I'm going to follow back on Instagram. All right. Sun on your Venus. That could have been a nice day that's coming up, or today and tomorrow. Maybe feeling expansive, learning some things, relating to self, getting some attention. Hopefully someone's giving you attention right now. Sun on your Venus in Leo. I hope you're getting the attention that you want. Moon in Leo. Yeah. 7th house. North Node Leo, 7th house. You're definitely here to be the star. Capricorn Rising though. Woo. Yeah, Jupiter or Saturn and Pluto meet right on your ascendant in your first house last year. That's a big transformation in itself. So don't restrict yourself. This is where you can make big things happen. This is where you can kind of like be that star, shine 100%. You did have your Nodal Return recently. North Node's finishing up in your 5th house, getting ready to come into your 4th house. Yeah, it's like shine time right now. Maybe since last year and into this year, it's been kind of like a breakout year about like dealing with dealing with who you are, your identity. Because, North Node, just having North Node there and having Saturn on your North Node, like, I think it's important for like South Node Aquarius people to realize like, yes, everybody's special, but like you're here to steal the show. Like with the North Node in Leo, like you're here to be the star. So I think maybe the more you're embracing that, instead of having all these planets that are going to be messing around with your south node in your first house, or thinking that you're just something normal or something, no. It's time to be really unique and really true to who you are and put it out there fully. And maybe that's what Saturn is doing right now in your first house, and Jupiter in your first, like maybe really finding like that unique identification of self. And Jupiter's about to, it just kind of touched into your second house, but again, that Jupiter in the second house that you're about to come into is great for like finance and money. So, those things that you're dedicating to, that you want, like keep pushing. You can make a lot of big things happen when you have Jupiter come into your second house, especially with like values and finance. Saturn's just kind of making you like re-identify with these things right now, and hopefully push you to really put yourself out there and to assert yourself. And Pluto's even there too. Of course, Neptune's in your second house, so like don't think that your values are just a dream. Like don't think that like if you want big things that they're not possible, or that like go get them, push for them. But it's really about like your identification right now. Having the North Node finish up there, and it's about to come into your fourth house, so it's like then it's about really finding security in yourself. So like the more secure you are, the more vulnerable you'll be, and the more authentic you'll be, which will be the more that you shine, the more that you put that out there. You also have Pluto in the 11th house, which is one of my favorite places for Pluto, just because usually you're just a rebel soul, just here to be the most rebellious. You also have a Saturn retrograde, so like you're here to do life different. And it takes courage to do life different, and you have the North Node down there in your fifth right now, and it's a South Node on your Pluto. It's just not a time to do what everybody else is doing. Like the more unique and authentic you are to yourself, and the more you embrace that fifth house, there's so much that can shine out there right now for you. You also have Uranus working towards your Saturn, and Saturn's your chart ruler. So like there's just crazy Uranian stuff right now. Like this is, I think, the breakout, like the early, I don't want to say like early life, but it is kind of early life for you. This is like breaking out at like a younger age. Like it took me until my Saturn return, like 28 years old, 28 and a half, to like for me to embrace my Uranian breakout nature. Like you could have been feeling that already, and now this is like embrace it to the fullest, especially with that Uranus on your chart ruler and all the stuff that's come across your ascendant. So all those transformative, identity stuff like that, it's meant to be put out there right now. It's meant to be identified with. Right? Because you are Libra Sun in the 9th house, so like, you want to relate. You could always be like trying to find, an even keel. Like, you're probably always like looking out for others. That's why you have the South Node in Aquarius too. What's best for all? No, I mean, I hate to break it to you. This is where like people need to be like selfish. It's like when you have like North Node in Leo, even though it's in your 7th house, so it's not selfish, but it's like you are identifying with your identity 100%, and you do it by being completely authentic when you relate to other people. And your moon's right there too, so you're already pretty good at it, but it's like doing it more, doing it for going further with that. So you're in a breakout. Next year is going to be your breakout year with Uranus on your chart ruler. This is where you're just gonna, like, if you thought you already broke out like in life, like this is where you just take that to the next level. But it's by like really embracing, right? Because you're going to have the North Node come into your 4th house. You have Saturn in your 4th house. So Saturn in the 4th can be where people are always trying to like tell you how you should feel about something, or what, emotions to hold, or what family should look like, or what a home should be. Like this is where you're like, no, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to be the boss of my emotions. I don't need you to be the boss of that. Like I value myself. I value my feelings, and I'm going to shine in that, and I'm going to express it and be completely transparent with all that. And then of course you have Mars getting ready to hit the Saturn. So a lot of stuff on your chart ruler for sure. And then dealing with, the trines from the Capricorn that we saw last year with Jupiter making that trine too. So yeah, this is really learning, what to identify with and who to identify it with. So it's a positive time. I think you have some really cool stuff going on. It's about embracing. It's about embracing all that. Your vertex is at 26, so it's been getting, it's gonna get like yachted from Pluto and Neptune over the next year. So that's just more transformation. Like the vertex is a crazy point. You never really know what it's gonna bring, but it's always something extremely fated. And you're gonna have Uranus on your chart ruler, so it's unexpected times, but it's like that unexpected eccentric qualities that you have are what's gonna shine the brightest. So and then you also have Uranus that's going to have Saturn come back on it. It's stationed on it. That was your second house ruler too. So dealing with some, some finance stuff, and then Jupiter's going to come back in. So if you're worried or stressed about finances right now, it's going to come. Just make sure you're pushing yourself too. Like don't, sit back and wait for anything. Like if you want to make money or if you want to bring in, physical good stuff, like you have the capacity to do it, especially next year when Jupiter comes back into your second house. So maybe right now it's about re-identifying your belief of what you want to move into and identifying with that, and then really doing the out of the norm things with Uranus on your chart ruler next year and with Jupiter in your second house. Like there can be a lot of abundance that can come by doing things in your own unique way. Progressed moon in Taurus. Wow, 29 degrees. So it's been nice having that progressed moon in Taurus. You probably felt pretty stable, pretty comfortable. Moon in the fourth, progressed moon in the fourth, dealing with Taurus energy. It's exalted there. Yeah, it's coming into Gemini in a month. Not even, in half a month. So these next 2.5 years are going to be very interchangeable. But it's also moving into your fifth house. So it's changing, it's switching up, but it's like it's trying to have you identify and switch things up and make changes for what really lights you up and brings you the happiness you desire. You don't need to do things that don't make you happy any longer. And I think you'll find that that's where a lot of the transformation is. And that's, having that progressed moon in your fifth with the stuff that's going on in North Node and Leo. It's going to make good aspects to your North Node, your Moon, your Leo energy while it's there. Like, this is a big time to, like, really shine and put your creativity out there. And it's going to be by making changes because new facts have shown up and information's going to show up, and where things may have been pretty, like, stable or pretty chill. I know it's a crazy world, so maybe it's not as stable as, like, that progressed moon in Taurus would have liked. But progressed moon, Taurus, fourth house, like, that's a pretty stable place for the progressed moon. So maybe the other stuff hasn't been too crazy, but progressed moon in Gemini is going to feel like things are switching up. But you're lucky because it's in your fifth house. So it's like you're going to make changes that make sense for your heart. And that's what's going to be exciting. So hopefully these next couple years are very exciting. Uranus on your chart ruler, progressed moon in your fifth. Could be very exciting, especially if you're doing what lights you up and not just wishy-washy about it. Like, making changes for what you know is the best. Yeah, you have Chiron in the 11th house. Or is it in the 5th? It's in the 10th, I think. Depends on the chart you run, I guess. All right. Hopefully that was helpful and you appreciated it. I appreciate you, Sarah. I wish I could do these lives without such a lag. What lag? I mean, it's not like laggy for you guys, but I'm like for instance, like I don't have a chart up on the screen right now, and if I show you where I'm watching the chat, it's like it's still on the chart, right? So it's like not even anywhere close to where I'm like talking right now. It's all right though. Awesome. I'm glad that helped you. I If this brings any sort of like confidence to people, I think that's what I want to go with it more is like instead of like trying to get deep into reading somebody like with these donation readings, it's just like I want to help people realize that they're not crazy. Like there's stuff I think we're going through huge transformations right now. Like all of us on these different levels and it's crazy. Like people that are I guess waking up to everything are going through a crazy mutation naturally from the divine and not from something else, but so yeah. Maybe it's just this that's if I just get back on here it'll be better. Sorry for the delay. Oh, I'm so happy I got that for you. Yeah, it's deep. Oh, maybe it's just my like thing that was far back there. I don't know. All right. Yeah, it is kind of an old laptop. I mean, I got it in 2017. I bought my laptop with Bitcoin, like when Bitcoin was like peaking back in 2017, and it was like 18. Yeah, it was 18,000 bucks or whatever. I was like, I'm gonna buy a laptop with Bitcoin, so I did, which was cool because then it went down to like 3 grand, and like my laptop I bought was I ended up buying it for like like 300 bucks I guess at that time, and then now Bitcoin's like 50K, and I'm like, damn, this is an expensive computer that's kind of outdated now. I'm so thankful that you donated and got a reading with me. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you. You joined on the website. You've been around following my content for a long time. I greatly appreciate you. All right. Who's up next? Who am I missing? Help me. I'm not as organized as maybe I should be. Don't mind my sweat. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot in California. It's hot in this room. It's hot with that light. I can't help it. I'm this Capricorn is kind of ready for winter. Like I love the summer, but like I'm kind of ready for some cold weather. I wouldn't mind throwing a jacket on or a sweater on and kicking it with you guys and being comfortable, but no. I'm hot. We'll turn this fan on though. I was like chill before I started, but then I get into this stuff and I'm like, it all changes. All right, I think Michael was up next. I think. Um, what is your information, Michael? And I will hook it up. October 14th, 1990. Do you have a time? Two ten. All right. Does that look right? God, I wouldn't mind living in Florida. I think I have my, it's either my Chiron or my North nodes there. I don't know if it'd be the best place for me to live, but like, damn. California is starting their mandates and stuff for passport stuff next month in September. So that'll be interesting. Uh, yeah, we'll see. Looks good. All right, Michael. Let's see what we got here. Well, you are a North Node Aquarius, first house, and Saturn crossed over that. Jupiter did over the last year. You pretty much had that meet, and you had a full moon last month meet, right there on that North Node too. So I think a lot of stuff's been like pushing you towards your identification with everybody, being in Aquarius rising, but having that objectiveness, having your uniqueness, your sense of self. Maybe it's been like pushing you to rebel in some way for your own identity. And Saturn too crossing the rising, like that stamps. It's crazy having your ascendant at 0 0 and having that Jupiter Saturn conjunction right there. And it was, I believe, it happened just before. I guess I could look. We could pull that up because I'm kind of interested to see where that conjunction. If it was, I think it was in your 12th house, if I remember right. That's a that's a pretty big deal. Um, Saturn, Jupiter. That's Saturn. Nope. Yep. Nope. What? Oh, opposite. Duh. All right. Here we are. Yeah, it happened just before your rising in your 12th house. So I mean, it's conjunct your ascendant. So I mean, that's big energy, and then they both crossed your ascendant at the same time. So I mean, since the solstice of last year, I mean, this is a whole new identification of self here. I mean, when Saturn crosses your rising, I mean, it really stamps the next. It's almost like a Saturn return, which you are having. You just had it, I should say, with your 19-degree Saturn and having Pluto there and all that. I mean, a lot of that has been, bringing up a moment of like change and surrender to a new identification of like your individuality, who you are. Pluto in the ninth. Pluto in the ninth is dope. Definitely, can feel like you have a lot of wisdom or have a lot of like channeled knowledge, maybe not knowing how to put it all together. And that's why, the third house is important, is like to be able to communicate and to make win-wins, like still be strong in your identity, like still put out those big ideals and those big visions that you have, but like let other people make their decision. Like it's not all about the indoctrination of things. Like, in ninth house and Venus, yeah, Libra, you're definitely here to do, work with people and like relate to all forms of wisdom and knowledge or secret teachings even. Moon, of course, in the eighth house in Virgo. Like you're a deep, you're a deep person. Practical with the moon in Virgo, like practical, but still wanting to penetrate these deeper levels. So I think this is this transformational moment of identifying with maybe those deeper moments, those things that you want to expand on, how to, how to see win-wins and not be so like stone cold and like one way is the only way. I would say to follow that north node and that Pluto polarity of the third house. So maybe it's a big grow up moment, especially having your Saturn return and then having Saturn cross the ascendant. I mean, this is a big like chapter change in your life that you've gone through over the last year, 2 years. And with Saturn ruling your 12th house, I mean, and even your first house, Saturn's co-ruler of Aquarius. That's a big one too. So a surrender for the identification of who you are now and how to use that in unique and authentic ways as well. And still like, use, right, because you have Jupiter South Node. So, don't forget about like your Jupiter. The Jupiter is an important thing. Like the more you do, you know, really put yourself out there and shine within groups and within relating to other people, and really putting your wisdom out there and how special it is. That's good. You want to do that, but still letting other people have an opinion. So hopefully that's helpful. What else? You got North Node in your 4th house right now. South Node in your 10th. South Node in the 10th's rough because you really want to, you know, you could have these big things that you want to accomplish and have all these big goals and determinations, but really you need to be working on like the foundation within yourself and how you're truly feeling about matters. I think you have a lot to internally process about the changes that have taken place with so much big energy hitting your ascendant and on your chart ruler over the last few years. Like it's still kind of processing that, but as that North Node comes into your 3rd house here, that's like being able to have a much better understanding of it. So this is like getting your roots dug into maybe who you're feeling like you are now. That's a good way to look at it. You have been dealing with Uranus trine your moon. Of course, your Uranus trine already happened. You have Uranus trining, working on a trine to your Saturn, and working on, it's going to come back and touch that Neptune also. Neptune rules your 2nd house. You have Neptune in the 2nd house. You know, it's going to be the different ways that are going to help you manifest, and Jupiter's going to come light those up. So maybe it's like that foundation of self right now, getting all those emotions understood and feeling like worth it, especially with the North Node coming into Taurus next year. Taurus rules your 4th house. Like the more emotionally confident you are within yourself, the more grounded you are. So that's going to help you bring in a lot of abundance, because that Jupiter coming into your 2nd is going to light things up. Like you can push it. You can push it for finance or push it for like material things that you want to bring in. But you're going to have to push it with Neptune there. So don't forget to like keep pushing. And Saturn in your 1st is trying to have you push for identity as well. Like don't restrict yourself. Don't let other people tell you what to do. Like push, but relate. Push, but relate. And you're going to have Uranus oppose your Pluto next year too. Pluto rules your 10th house. And you're going to have the South Node out of there around that time too. So there could definitely be some crazy stuff that goes on with a transformation. Like once you get the foundation set and that South Node leaves your 10th house and you have that Uranus Pluto opposition, like you're going to watch something big for the things that you want to dedicate to transform. So there's like big things. And then having Jupiter in the mix in your 2nd house during that time, it'll be in there the entire time that goes down. Like something good's coming. So if you're pushing for something right now, or these things, these goals that you want to identify with, it's just like the timing's just a little off. So don't get discouraged because they're right there. That seems like a good message. That one came in pretty solid. Once that all kind of connected for me. Oh, hey. And I'd like to finish with that progressed moon. Oh, look at that. Your North Node's right on your rising in progressions. Yeah, it's just like so much identification stuff right now. And I think it's a lot of deep stuff. It's a lot of deep work stuff that you want to focus on, because it's this like getting to the bottom of it right now is going to have like the stamp on it for the next 28 years. So this is like, it's good. It's big time. Where's that progressed moon at? Oh, look at that. Your progressed sun's in your 10th. Yeah, and it just came in a couple years ago, and it's going to be there for the next a long time. 22 through Scorpio to 11. Like, it's going to be there for 20 more years. Yeah, right. It's so funny. Like, literally, all that's starting to play out. Like, so don't get discouraged now. There's like, this next 12, 20 years is huge. It's going to be about this like bigger mission. Okay, moon's in the 9th in Libra. So definitely, relationships are big. They have been for the last 22 months. You're going to finish that out for the next 8 months here, 7 months here. And then it's going to come into Scorpio and come into your 10th house. So yeah, it's so funny. Like right about the time the node shift and all that goes down, like progressed moon in the 10th, like there's just big things coming, especially for like the public image or the legacy that you're looking for. Or a change in that stuff. And the progressed moon in Libra is pretty good. I like cardinal progressed moons because it's definitely asserting. But in the ninth house, it's kind of crazy because you're dealing with a lot of your intuition, your intuitive stuff, but maybe like not knowing how to, you know, bring it in. It's just like all this stuff's out there and there's all these ideals and hopes and beliefs, but like you got to like, you want to trust your subconscious and like use it to relate to people. And then, all these big hopes and ideals, then you're going to figure out how to dedicate to them and where they're going in the future. So pretty important time. I don't know, whoever you were before last year, that's like it's not really who you are anymore. So you want to embrace that and build your foundation and who you are now and push for that. And, let that transformation take place. Your chart ruler would be Uranus, right? And it's going to, be in opposition to your Pluto. So and Pluto ruling your 10th house? Yeah. Whole different identification when it comes to the mission, when it comes to the legacy, big things. So good stuff, Michael. Like, I think you can do big things. You're here to bring something unique to everybody and to relate to everybody. And, don't forget your unique, shine too. Jupiter in the 7th house in Leo, like do your Jupiter, like relate to people, but be a leader for people too. All right. I think that's everybody that donated, I think. If I'm missing anybody, let me know. If I got everybody, I'm going to call it for now and maybe come back later today or tomorrow, but I'll be back soon. I like this show. I enjoy doing this. This is dope, and it seems like people enjoy it too, so pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, Michael, the past is the past. Like you're in such a future mode right now. Like this is a big time. Like these next, yeah, pretty much the next 28 years. I mean, this is kind of like big mission stuff that just got dropped in your lap by like a lot of fated stuff with Jupiter and Saturn meeting right on your ascendant in the 12th though. It's like that's a deep spiritual fated like chaos in a lot of ways, but it's not at the same time because then it crosses your rising and you can identify it. Did I miss anybody? Must be nice to have a normal rising. uh, all right, I think I got everybody. I think if I didn't, let me know. I'm gonna hang out for like a couple more minutes, and then I'm gonna chill for just a little bit and eat. I haven't eaten yet today, so that's gonna happen too. Did you? You don't, Lori? Don't play games with me. Lori's a badass cosmic shit show. She's a badass astrologer. You guys can probably tell in the chat. Don't let her fool you. She's good. If you need relationship readings, cosmic shit show. I learned a lot about relationship stuff and astrology from her. So, or just regular readings too. But yeah. All right. Much love, fam. I'm gonna call it. I also, you know what? Just because I can, I offer readings, you know? So if you want to book a full session, fixedairmoon.com. Obviously, I offer readings. I'm doing it here on YouTube for donation. But if you want like an in-depth hour of your natal chart, of like some deep stuff, because I don't want to hit the deep stuff here live on YouTube. I'll be honest. Some of that stuff is just not meant for everybody. Like it's not meant for the world to see or hear. So, you know, that stuff's more personal with clients. I offer those there. So if you want to book there for something like that, that's what that's for. This is definitely more transit stuff, more what's up, what's coming. But yeah. Same name on every platform. I know. Crushed it. All right, fam. Love you all very much. I will catch you next time. Peace.